Imagine inheriting a sprawling 52 acres of pristine Wyoming wilderness from your grandfather, the kind of land that's been in the family for generations, rich with timber and minerals, and a winding dirt path that's more than just a road. It's a lifeline to history. And then one day you show up to find some self-appointed queen bee has slapped down 36 upscale villas right in the middle of it, calling it her own little kingdom and raking in fat monthly dues from clueless families while there. Fancy cars tear up your family's legacy under their wheels, the dust clouds rising like ghosts of betrayal, choking the crisp air that once felt so pure. That's the nightmare I walked into, the one that turned my quiet life upside down. And if you're thinking that's wild, wait until you hear how it all unraveled, because this isn't just a story about stolen dirt. It's about fighting back when the system seems rigged against you, with a mix of rage and reluctant laughter at the absurdity of it all. The way entitlement can blind someone to the storm they're brewing. My name's Alex Thompson, and back then I was just a 32-year-old plumber scraping by in Casper, fixing leaks and dreaming of something bigger, until Grandpa William passed away and left me his cherished plot near Jackson Hole, complete with those valuable resource rights and a babbling creek that whispered promises of peace. The air up there thick with the scent of sagebrush and untamed freedom. The kind that makes you feel alive in a way city life never could, every rustle of leaves reminding me of his stories around the campfire, lessons on resilience wrapped in simple words. He always told me, "Alex, this ground is your future. Guard it like it's the last thing you'll ever hold." And I plan to do just that. Maybe throw up a simple lodge, launch my own contracting gig, escape the grind, and breathe easy for once. Picturing mornings with coffee steam mingling with mist off the creek, but fate, or whatever you call it, had other ideas, twisting everything into a tangle of deceit and defiance that still knots my stomach when I think back. The weight of legacy suddenly, feeling like a chain rather than a gift. The property had this quirky feature, a rugged private trail that snaked from the main highway straight through to the heart of the land, something Grandpa William had kept up for years, legally mine now, wide enough for vehicles, but unmistakably private, like an extended driveway carved from the wild, potholes filled with his sweat and determination over decades. Enter Karen Reynolds, the iron-fisted head of the Summit Valley Association, the type who'd nitpick your fence color and slap fines for breathing wrong. Always decked out in designer gear with a voice that could shatter eardrums, her license plate screaming entitlement in custom script. You know the breed. The one who acts like the world owes her a throne, her perfume overpowering even outdoors, a synthetic floral assault that clashed with the natural earth. A few months after the funeral, I finally made the trek up to claim my inheritance, heart full of memories and plans, the drive winding through valleys that echoed with childhood echoes, only to stumble upon Eagle Ridge Estates, this shiny new enclave of matching taupe mansions, all 36 of them valued at around $450,000 a pop, complete with manicured lawns and a grand archway boasting gilded signs. But here's the gut punch. Every last one sat squarely on what I knew was my turf, and to top it off, the residents were using my trail as their daily commute. Dozens of tires churning the earth Grandpa William had smoothed by hand, the rumble echoing like a constant invasion, gravel flying like shrapnel from a wound that wouldn't heal. I confronted Karen at her sprawling estate, pillars and all, like it was transplanted from some southern plantation, and she answered in a robe that screamed luxury I couldn't fathom, eyeing my muddy boots with disdain, as if I'd brought the plague indoors, her perfectly arched eyebrows furrowing in mock confusion. And when I laid out the deed, calm as I could, she just cackled, a sound like nails on metal. "Oh, darling, I snagged this parcel legit at a county auction years back. Your old man must have skipped his bills, but I had the proof, stacks of payments in Grandpa William's careful script, every dime accounted for, receipts yellowed but undeniable." Yet she waved it off, suggesting I ditch my bargain bin legal help and face facts. This is mine now, with folks shelling out $450 a month for the honor. You really think we'll vanish because some plumber waves ancient papers? She even threw in squatters' rights for good measure, slamming the door with a force that shook the frame, leaving me standing amid the hum of sprinklers and AC units, all hooked up to utilities I'd probably helped lay in my day job, the irony biting like a cold wind. And as I trudged back to my rusty pickup, It hit me, hard and clear. Every home in that setup relied on my trail for entry. No backdoor, no escape. Just that one path. And suddenly the wheels in my head spun faster than ever. A spark of strategy amid the fury, my fists clenching on the steering wheel as I drove away, vowing silently that this wasn't over. 2 days on, I brought in Eleanor Hayes, a sharp land dispute specialist whose office reeked of victory and black brew, shelves lined with case files that whispered of won battles. And she dove in, confirming the obvious within hours. The ground was mine. No auction ever happened. Those taxes paid in full. And get this, Karen had sweet-talked a shady official into faking the records, turning simple encroachment into outright crime. Her eyes narrowing as she traced the paper trail. With that firepower, I returned to her doorstep, her now in tennis whites dripping with bling, and handed over the formal notice. But she ripped it apart without a glance, scattering bits like confetti. Fine. If you want war, bring it. And that very day, she blasted alerts to her flock, painting me as a vengeful intruder out to bully decent people, urging 911 calls at the sight of me. The paranoia she sowed like seeds in fertile soil. But Karen's real blunder came next. She bolted a massive wrought iron barrier right at the highway into my trail, spikes gleaming, code-locked, the clang of it shutting like a jail cell. And in doing so, she basically confessed it wasn't public. You can't fence off what's everyone's, but private land. That's fair game. And Eleanor nearly choked on her laugh when I told her, Alex, this is gold. Tampering like that on your property, it's vandalism with teeth. We can sue for removal and daily penalties. Her excitement palpable as we plotted the next move. The next dawn, I snapped pics of the whole setup, tags, builder's marks, even the rushed concrete bases sans approvals, frost making each shot crisp as evidence, the camera shutter clicking like a heartbeat accelerating. And that's when a young mom, Laura Jenkins, strolled up with her kid in tow, house 17, her with Michael and little Sophie, whispering if I was the troublemaker Karen ranted about. And as I spilled the truth, her face drained of color. We sank our savings into this place. For $130,000, Michael's pulling doubles for the loan. If it's all bogus, her hands trembling slightly as she clutched the stroller handle. That night, her words gnawed at me. These weren't fat cats, just everyday folks duped worse than I was. Their dreams built on sand. Lying awake staring at the ceiling, guilt mixing with anger at how one person's greed could ripple out and shatter so many lives. And meanwhile, Karen ramped up, posting armed watch from Peak Guard services, burly ex-soldiers in gear that screamed overkill, their Jenny fumes choking the air. And when I approached, the boss, Victor, blocked me, hand on his spray. This is restricted, bud. Don't care about your docs. The boss lady says you're out. And soon after, a bogus legal threat arrived from her kin's sham firm, demanding I back off or face orders. By beefing up her defenses and slinging mud, Karen had flipped this from a land spat to a full-blown siege, and I was done playing nice, especially when I unearthed her weak spot in the county archives, digging through dusty files that smelled of old paper and forgotten disputes. Eagle Ridge Estates wasn't just on pilfered soil. It lacked every stamp of approval, no eco-checks, no waste systems, and crucially for a plumber like me, zero plumbing certs, making those pads hazards waiting to blow. Pipes likely shoddily installed, risking floods or worse. Eleanor lit up like a jackpot. We can push for shutdowns on safety alone. But before I could file, Karen hit my wallet, spreading poison emails to my clients, branding me a menace under probe, complete with my details and sneaky snaps, costing me gigs worth $18,000. The silence of my line like a death knell. Each lost call a stab of frustration, but she'd document. Ed her slander, prime for a libel suit with real bite in Wyoming. My resolve hardening like steel in the forge. I circled back to Laura, armed with proofs, code breaches I'd spotted from experience, and she let me in, exhausted, Sophie at her feet, the home gleaming with upgrades they'd poured hard into, granite counters reflecting our grave faces. But as we pored over records at her counter, she confessed Karen's extra levies, $250 monthly for defense pots, netting her $9,000 extra a pop, and mandatory huddles with fines for no-shows, rules gagging talk to outsiders, eviction threats for siding with the foe, the kitchen thick with dread like a fog, her voice dropping as she admitted the sleepless nights worrying about their future. Then Victor rang me hushed, ditching her over-bounced checks, but warning of her plot to nail me with trumped-up charges, doctored pics and tales, giving me the edge to prep, a quiet alliance forming in the shadows. And come Friday's chill, I set the stage, parking at the barrier with tools and Grandpa Williams' etched markers, pounding them in as Karen swooped with her crew, neighbors, kin, and a lensman from the Jackson Herald, yelling danger. But I'd turned her stunt against her, handing the scribe, Daniel Pierce, my stack, deeds, fakes, hazards, and as she raved, I cut in, produce your proofs, and the void spoke volumes, the crowd's murmurs building like a gathering storm. Daniel grilled her, and Laura chimed in bold, exposing the sham group unregistered, Michael waving fresh copies, demanding books, the air electric as Karen floundered, her flight screeching tires, but Daniel's front-page blast, local association boss tied to epic land scam, cracked it wide, and his follow-up call floored me. Karen's racket spanned counties, her third con in years, tied to her in-law Harold Reynolds. The clerk cooking books for kicks, swiping hundreds of acres, bilking masses. Details unfolding like layers of an onion, each peel revealing deeper rot. Then the feds knocked. Agent Rachel Donovan, badge shining, probing mail and wire schemes. My mess the key. Her ring bigger, hitting airs in the Rockies, and she pitched a pact. Wire up, snag confessions. We'd reclaim fast while they chased the web, showing victim lists. A vet in Utah robbed of his spread, a mom in Idaho whose fields became condos, elders stripped of oars, their stories hitting like punches, turning my grudge into a crusade for the voiceless, a fire igniting in my chest for justice beyond my own pain. The wire itched like guilt as we huddled in Eleanor's den, team assembled like Avengers, Laura sleuthing, Michael crunching numbs, Daniel hunting tails, Rachel steering, dissecting the playbook, forges, builds, bolts with cash, and Michael revealed siphoned funds to havens via dummies, embezzlement pure, spreadsheets glowing on his screen like incriminating beacons, Laura's shots tallying flaws on quake-prone dirt, no surveys, homes at slide risk, her photos capturing cracks in foundations that mirrored the cracks in Karen's empire. The op, I'd feigned defeat, wire humming, baited missions, while they gathered, and oh, the twist, Grandpa Williams' map showed extra reach, her pad on my vein worth millions, plus her gravel grabs triple damages ripe, Rachel grinning shark-like, her doom sealed, the plan clicking like a well-oiled lock. I played broken at her door, shoulders sagged, voice wavered, broke from fights, lost work, ready to deal, and she bit, ushering me to her gaudy lair, coffee steaming as she bragged, clerks cheap to buy, targeting grievers, inspections greased by cronies, for ops netting millions, Caymans hiding splits, and when I pressed on resistors, her chill threat, mishaps befall, electrics fail, folks vanish in Wyoming wilds. The wire catching her murder hint, my veins ice, sweat beating despite the cool room. Rachel replayed it grim, confession jackpot, reopening deaths, fire, cliff, poison, all linked, but terror struck, Laura's call, thugs snatched Michael Sand's rights, no real badges, feds scrambling as sirens wailed, the panic in her voice cutting deep. Then Daniel's blaze, his hub torch timed for him, attempted hit, acrid smoke lingering in his recount, and worst, Grandpa Williams' plot ravaged, casket bare, notes mocking, my roar primal, desecration felony, her unraveling clear, the violation, fueling a rage that blurred my vision with hot tears. Victor tipped the camp hideout, armed goons plotting ends, Rachel raiding, IDs linking to syndicate killers, the net vast, revelations piling like evidence in a courtroom. The Jackson Community Hall buzzed like a hive on edge. Rachel's ploy a faux summit Karen called to squash whispers, chairs filled with uneasy souls sipping stale Joe, murmurs of doubt already circulating from leaked rumors, her arriving smug with goons, launching into her victim spiel. But I rose, questions ready, her orders fizzling as her muscle got cuffed discreet, and Rachel flashed her shield, the gas collective, phones rolling as she listed charges, fraud to threats to graves, the room thickening with shock. Doors swung, Michael strode free, Laura's tears joy, him spilling accounts, Daniel probing wealth. Rachel waving freezes. The room wrapped as I declared. This soil's mine, but I'll gift to a trust. Clear deeds for buyer's costs. No ruin for innocence. Just her fall. Applause thundering as Karen confessed in fury. System bent. Why not me? Rachel pocketing the tape. Trial averted. The crowd's energy shifting from fear to vindication. Cuffed and spitting venom. She vowed more, but I countered. Over since you touched family bones. Some fights transcend cash. For kin, truth, reckoning. Her glare burning, but powerless now. 6 moons later, from my rebuilt lodge on Grandpa William's base, dawn gilding Teton Peaks, coffee and wood scent peace earned, the trust thriving as model housing, family secure, dues real, Laura leading fair, Michael tracking tight, community events fostering bonds that healed old wounds, Karen rotting 27 years for rackets, Harold 22 for fakes, crew scattered, millions reclaimed for victims, vets ranch restored, mom's fields tripled, elders oars golden, each restitution a small victory in the larger war against greed. Rachel honored for busting West's big land heist, Daniel series Pulitzer bound, Victor guarding good, his flip redemptive, my biz booming on rep, trusts William Thompson scholarship funding trades, Laura's firm exposing scams, Camp Now Youth Haven, Grandpa William reburied overlooking thriving turf, stone etched, land for folk, not crooks, annual fest boosting funds, art, tales, skills, revenue sustaining dreams, laughter echoing where silence once reigned. Watching gardens bloom, kids romp, I grasp Grandpa William's wisdom, worth in bonds, not grabs. The storm passed yielding clarity. Justice served not just for me, but all she crushed. A closure wrapping tight, like family arms. The by-kitch of loss turning to triumph over injustice. Love for roots fueling rightful payback. The land now alive with honest purpose. Now, tell me in the comments, was turning the land over to the trust the right call, or should I have evicted everyone to claim what's mine? Where does justice end and mercy begin, especially when family's legacy hangs in the balance?